This is a Dude Studios production. And hey, I'm the Dude. Welcome back to Hey Bartender Podcast. I'm your bartender for the evening. I am the Dude, so that's what you call me. Or you can call me Anthony. That's completely fine with me. Today is a really groovy episode for me. I brought on Vicki Magyar. You know what? I forgot to ask her last name, so I'm sorry, Vicki, if I butchered your last name. She goes by Slick Vic BA on Instagram and TikTok. Some of you probably might know her for her health and wellness talks, her big smile, her big curly hair. She is such an awesome person. I brought her on the show because I postulated a question out there for you guys. Do you guys feel like that you eat healthy? Do you take care of yourself while you're at work? Most of you said yes. But I asked you guys also if you would like to know more about eating healthy and exercising while working in the service industry, and every single one of you screamed yes. So I decided to do a little bit of research, and it turns out that Vicki is actually, she actually worked in the service industry for 10 years, and she knows exactly what I was talking about and had a lot of really great advice for us. So I had to get her on the show, and she is such an amazing girl. There will be a point in the time in the podcast where she and I kind of go and bond a little bit about our martial arts experience. But you'll love her stories, and pay attention to the things she talks about, because there's a lot of stuff that she goes into, not only about eating healthy and taking care of your body, but also taking care of your mind. You're gonna love it. So that being said, let's get the drink special out of the way before we get things started. This week's drink special is called the Americano. I decided to do a search on the internet for a drink that people would drink if they're an athlete for speedy recovery and things like that. Something that doesn't make them completely out of it and huge hangover, but still tastes pretty good. This one sounded pretty good. This one's called the Americano. Now, according to this article, it said, this isn't your typical barista-made Americano. This is Dietrich's own boozy recipe. I love Americano, which is sweet vermouth, Campari, and soda for afternoons after a workout. He says it's low-proof, refreshing, and won't make you tipsy. Now, like I said, the ingredients is 1.5 ounces of Campari, 1.5 ounces of sweet vermouth, soda water to top, and orange for garnish. I'll put a picture of it up on social media, and please let me know what you think of it. Email me, dude@heybartenderpodcast, or drop me a message on any of the social medias. On Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. It's all at Hey Bartender Podcast. I'd love to hear from any one of you. Now, with that being said, Laura Hope in the Arctones, would you please help me get things started?
Hey bartender, pass me a drink. The reason that I'm here is I need time to think.
Sorry about that. It was weird. Who knows what was going on?
Well, all these Zoom interviews that I've done lately, I give it about 5 minutes before it crashes. Then we have to start again, or try to continue on where we left off. But
Yeah.
can I call you Vicki?
Oh yeah, Vicky's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Vicki, thank you so much for joining me on Hey Bartender Podcast. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here. I'm really excited just to sit and talk and shoot the breeze, and I'm excited to see what we're going to talk about. So this is good.
Well, most of my podcasts, we just kind of go with the flow. I don't really have anything scripted. I have, maybe a few questions in my head, but that's about it.
Yeah.
So,
Perfect.
why don't we start the show off with you giving people a summary about yourself?
Perfect. Yeah. Well, as you said, my name's Vicki. I go by Slick Vic for people that are on social media. I know it sounds kind of funny, but it was just one of those nicknames that I had growing up, and it stuck. But right now, I actually created my own business, and of course, I did it over COVID because it seemed like, hey, if this is the time to do it, you might as well. You have the time inside, just become an entrepreneur and whatever. So, a little background before I tell you what my business is. I actually I went to Youngstown State University, and I got my master's in education. So I was working in the school as a school counselor, and I moved to Florida. And very shortly after work, I mean, I was only there for, like 5-6 months. And I realized that being in the education system, working in it is a lot different than I thought. But I still wanted to help people. So with my background with wellness and mental health and fitness and all that kind of stuff combined, I decided to look into alternative ways of healing. So holistic, other ways, instead of taking a pill or always, having to go to the doctor, I'm like, how are ways that we can heal ourselves? And so then I kind of just stumbled upon different healing modalities, and I got into Reiki. And for those who don't know what Reiki is, a very brief way to explain it is removing just stress from the body. A lot of times it's like energy blockages. And and that's where I'm at. So I do that, and I do like one-on-one coaching as well with overall wellness. So it deals with like mental, emotional, physical, spiritual kind of healing.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I'm like, how can I make this like a little small nutshell of information?
Well, good for you. That seems like everybody took the initiative to create their own business or move from just hobby to something that they love to do during COVID. I guess that's one of the plus sides of things that happened during the COVID situation.
Definitely.
And
I agree.
But COVID was really handy for me because I've been doing this podcast for a couple of years, but all of a sudden everybody's schedule was wide open, so I could ask any bartender or server, please come on the show. And they were like, well, I got the time. Why not?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go back a little bit. Now, the conversation we were having before we started recording, you said you had spent time in the service industry.
Yes. I started out as a hostess at Ruby Tuesdays. And so I'm from Ohio, Canfield, Ohio, like near Youngstown area. And then I quickly moved to a waitress. So then I was there for about 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, as a waitress.
I know I grew up in Oregon, but I live in Texas right now. And I think in Oregon there was only one Ruby Tuesdays that I knew about. But
oh wow,
the last 3 guests I've had on the show said they've had some experience at a Ruby Tuesday, but they were like from North Carolina, you from Ohio. Is it really common in that area?
I guess. I know at least for like my area, there's one about 15-20 minutes, another town over. So it seems to be maybe more popular on our side of the U.S.
Yeah, it might be an East Coast thing.
I mean, yeah, it must be that. It must be that. But before it had come into our area, like I hadn't heard of it before. So it must have just kind of blew up a couple years ago, and then maybe it'll make its way to you guys.
You said you did that for about 10 years. So was this before you discovered the holistic and the all the stuff that you just mentioned? Yes.
So when I was a waitress and like a hostess, I mean, I worked my way all throughout college, my, undergrad and graduate. I also had been in and out of other jobs and careers, and always kind of went back to the service industry because, as you know, it's good money. I mean, when it's flowing, and it's cash in your pocket usually. So I was not really focused on like the healing aspect of what I do now, but the fitness and the health part of that, I was focused on. I've always been an athlete of some sort, growing up. And I've always loved eating good food, healthy food. So being in a restaurant that, caters to all sorts of types of food, it was hard at times, I'll say it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Because, it's temptation, of course. Or it's just, I didn't have the time to eat something, but I'm starving and I just worked a, 6-hour shift. I'm just going to shove some fries in my mouth. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But yeah, so I got serious the more that I was there, if that makes sense,
mm-hmm.
as far as like eating healthy, but, it wasn't always the easiest. I'll say it that way. Yeah.
Okay. So, let's start there. The reason why I brought you on this podcast is to, clue some of the people out there who still work in the service industry, things that they can do to lead a healthier life, improve their lives a little bit? Because like you just said, I can relate to that, because when I was a bartender, it was eat if there's time, eat what's available, and I never thought ahead enough in order to think I should pack something, or, it usually ended up, it's going to be fastest if he just makes me a burger, and then I can just wolf that down and then get back to work. So what kind of disciplines did you set for yourselves in order to stay in that mindset?
Well, at first it was, I'm not going to, lie to you guys. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't always that way. I mean, we would come out with, if you know anything about Ruby Tuesdays, like, we were known for our burgers, so it's like, we're talking, juicy cheeseburgers with bacon and mayo and like all the fixings, you're smelling it all day. And the more hungry you get, the more you want it. You're like, screw my diet. Right. But for me, because of the fact that I was always an athlete, because I was someone who was always, health conscious, or someone who was, I've always been in the gym. There was times where, I was like, okay, is it really worth it? You know what I mean? Like, there's other choices available. I just have to be a little bit more disciplined. But where I got really disciplined was when, two different times. One, when I decided to become a personal trainer. So I've had many different careers in my, 33 years of life here on earth. But at one point I decided I want to be I want to be a professional personal trainer, certified. So I did that, and I'm like, okay, but I was also working part-time as a waitress. And so that kind of motivates you, because you're like, here I am, someone who is going to be an example to my clients of making healthy choices. And I had clients who were in the service industry. I had clients who were, parents, single moms, single dads, who are like, I need things that are going to be easy for me, easy for my family, and also easy for me on the go. So I had to get into that mindset as well, because I need to practice what I preach. So that was the first time. The second time was when I decided to compete in bodybuilding. So I was a figure competitor. I did 2 competitions back to back. And I mean, you're paying for the suit, you're paying for the coaches, you're paying for the time in the gym. You're paying for that time on stage, the spray tan, everything. And it's like, are you really going to let it go just because you got a little bit lackadaisy in your eating habits? And so that was the motivation there. And I think at the end of the day, it all depends on, like, if you really want something, you're going to do it, right? I mean, we do things in life. We have jobs because, well, we need money to eat. We need money to live. We need those basic needs met. So I always have that as part of my, list of things in which I need to be met. So some people, and, I'm raising my hand right now. I know you guys can't see me, but I've been there too, where it's like, I push that priority aside because I feel like other things are more important than the food I'm putting in my body. But just the way we put gasoline into our car, we don't put sugar in our gas tank and expect it to go down the road and take us to where we need to go, right? Mm. Or we don't dilute it half and half and go a little sugar, a little gas. We need a full gasoline. We need the real good stuff. So it's the same thing with our body. The more we're putting junk in, the more it's going to start to like not move and not work and create other junk inside. So when you start to see your body is that way, even in the mix of being tired and working a shift and not having a lot available or not, cooking a meal before you came, there's always something you can have that's a better alternative than, like a full large fry and a cheeseburger. So that's just something that kind of motivates me a lot, or did motivate me a lot and still motivates me today.
Yeah, having goals seems to be your major thing, and so set proper goals for yourself. That would be something that people should be thinking about, at least, I guess. I would say,
set. But no, that's good. That's perfect. I think what may throw a lot of people off is, I know people can set goals. That's not an issue. Like, anyone could sit down in front of a sheet of paper with a pen and go, okay, I want to lose 20 pounds, or I want to, lose a couple inches, or I just want to feel better and look better in my, clothes or whatever. But sometimes it's not, it's so far away that it doesn't seem attainable at the time. So I think the really important thing to do is set short little goals still have your major goal, like have that up there, but almost make a timeline and say, okay, this is my major goal, but what are those short little goals that are going to keep me motivated? Because if you don't have that, then it's really easy to get discouraged. It's really easy to kind of, for lack of better terms, like fall through the cracks, because you get discouraged. You don't see the progress right away. And then it's easy to fall back into old habits. And then another thing to piggyback off of that is it's a habit. And, there's so much research out there that says, I don't know if it's like 30 days, 60 days, whatever it is, to create new habits in your life. But it's the same thing as, let's say you get a new job and you have to check in at 7 a.m. and you're not a morning person, but you're like, I need this job.
Yeah. You
will start to train your body to, I'm going to get up. I'm going to go to bed a little bit earlier so I can get up a little earlier, and I'm going to set an alarm clock, and I'm going to have everything set up, the night before, have everything laid out. And you do those things for those reasons, right? And it becomes such a routine that your body gets used to it, and you start to flow. And before you know it, a month later, it's like your internal clock wakes you up at that time. Oh, you're not so tired. Oh, you get tired earlier in the day. You go to bed. You know what I mean? So it's just more so being a little bit consistent and disciplined in the beginning, and then it just revolves into your new routine.
Right.
So, yeah.
Now, being consistent, though, I've noticed in my lifetime, like the job I had before working in the service industry wasn't exactly the most physical job in the world. But then all of a sudden I'm standing up, I'm walking back and forth. I always used to joke if I had a pedometer on my belt as I was working, I'd probably see like 2 or 3 miles by the end of my shift or something like that.
Yeah.
Probably more.
Yeah.
But I noticed after, like 1 or 2 months, I was losing weight because I was so active compared to the way I was before that. But am I wrong? I've never really done any research on this sort of thing. Am I wrong in thinking that eventually your body gets used to it, and then does your body have to change it up every now and then? Because it gets used to your new lifestyle, and then you're gaining weight again, or whatever.
Yeah, I think, and there's so many. It's almost like when I was a personal trainer, I thought this was probably the hardest thing to do, because there was a lot of trainers and people I knew who wanted to just give a cookie cutter, like same thing to every person. Follow this, you will lose weight. Follow this, and it's like every single person on this earth is so different. Like, down to our genetics, down to our sleep cycle, down to our preferences in food, and even water intake and how much you should eat. It just depends on your body. So I found at the end of the day that what you're saying is so true, because I may, start to do what you're talking about, and it fits, it feels good, and my body starts going into this like homeostasis kind of thing where it's like, oh, I found my sweet spot. This is perfect. Other people start to do that, and if they hit a plateau or it's just not there yet, and then, maybe they do stop losing weight, or maybe they start to gain weight in other ways. And then stress is such a major thing. That's
Yes.
a whole other podcast episode where, that creates so much just dysfunction all over that can come out in, weight gain or weight loss. Because just as much as we're talking about weight gain, weight loss too is, a big thing. Some people can't keep weight on, and that's a whole nother issue as well. But I think it comes down to being really observant and playful with yourself and giving yourself grace, because you may look at someone on Instagram or social media or on an ad for Nike or a commercial and think, oh my gosh, like if I just do this and that, like I'll look like them or whatever. Or you get discouraged because you're like, there's no way I'm going to look like that. That's perfectly fine. You know what I mean? Like you might hit those plateaus. You might get into those points where you're just like, I don't know what else to do. And that's usually a time where you have to go, let me just relax. Let me just chill for a moment. Let me just start to enjoy life and see what things like are really a priority right now. Like, do I actually have to lose 17.56 pounds? Or, if I lose 10, do I still feel good about myself? And, giving yourself that grace. And a lot of times just changing that mindset and that mood and your emotions, sometimes you drop a couple, two more pounds, you know what I mean? Or you start, your muscles are like, oh, I am enjoying these things more. You have more energy and you can put on some more weight. It just depends on the person, depends on the situation, depends on your environment. There's a lot of factors that go into it.
Of course. And I'm a big believer that stress does have a factor in the way your body acts. a particular story. When I was a bartender, I had a girlfriend for a little while, and then we broke up. And I guess I didn't really realize it. I didn't really want to admit it, but I guess I went into a depression a little bit. And the next time she saw me about 6, 7 months later, she looks at me with eyes wide open saying, "What the hell happened to you?" I'm like, "What?" And I weighed myself when I got home that night because she said I looked skinny as a rail, and I apparently lost 40 pounds or something like that. And so I'm like, "Oh, okay." But but that's just the way it accidentally happened for me. It's just, I didn't realize I was losing weight. I'm just, it was just keeping my mindset on work and not thinking about anything else, which in itself is extremely unhealthy. But but
that's true.
But dealing with the stress and all that sort of thing. I mean, I hate to admit to you, but I'm sure you've heard many people say that their body is their temple. I tend to treat mine like an amusement park, but I have cut things from my life that I felt were really important to cut, like energy drinks. Got rid of those, completely gone.
Good job.
But I still drink the occasional soda, or not occasional, but I still drink soda, but I don't need Red Bull or Rockstar, all that stuff to get started in the morning. Although I'm sure a lot of people in the service industry do. You agree with that?
Yeah, I'm pointing at myself because I kid you not, I remember getting ready for a double shift on a Saturday, right? I was going to close lunch, and then I was going to roll right on over and go and like maybe almost close the night shift. And I would go to Sheetz or like wherever I could at a gas station. I would get 2 Red Bulls, usually like a pack of Sour Patch Kids and maybe some like Reese's Pieces. And then, throw in like a nice Nutri-Grain bar or something, just for good measure, make me feel good. And that would be like, and literally I would be chugging one before I even got there, right? Like on my way to work, chug one of those Red Bulls. And then the other one was for the second shift. And meanwhile, I might be grabbing a cup of coffee in between at work and, maybe shoving a biscuit in my mouth or whatever. Yeah. And so believe me, I have been there, and it's crazy to look back and be like, that's what I used to do. Like, that's what I used to power my body with. Yeah. It was easy.
And with the help of, you and I don't know if you remember, you and I have messaged back and forth a little bit about martial arts, you being jiu-jitsu practitioner, and I do my thing. I study Kajakimbo, but we talked about that. It was pretty much the help of my Sigung and Sifu and all of them. They were like, cut that, because I even admitted to him after a sparring night, like, I feel heavy. I can't bounce around like that. What's and they were like, well, try this. Well, tell us about what you eat. Tell us about what you do. And they were like, get rid of those damn energy drinks. And they gave me something else, but I don't want to mention because they're not paying me to. But they tried to get me on the fasting diet, and I'm still on the fence about that. But I managed to go from 215 and as of this morning 195. But this was like a year ago when I first started doing
Congratulations.
it.
That's great.
But dealing with the job I have right now is no longer in the service industry. I work in wind energy, and I thought, well, climbing 300 feet up one of those towers once or twice a day, that's plenty of exercise. But it turned out it wasn't enough, or my body just decided, no, this you're used to this, or your heart rate. I think it's mostly because my heart rate doesn't stay high enough in order to consider it a workout, because it takes me about 5-10 minutes to climb one of those things. But for bartenders and servers, for them to find the time or the place even to exercise, sure, we got to wake up a little bit earlier. Some of us have. I definitely used to have a lot of trouble waking up at a decent time just to go over to the gym at the apartment. Or after shift where I was just on a splat on the couch just because I've been running around all night. I dealt with difficult customers. What are some things that you would suggest? I mean, it would definitely, like you said, it takes a little bit of discipline. Set yourself your little bit of goal. But what would you suggest for some people that don't have a lot of time, but they want to at least get a jump start, or is there a specific exercise routine that you would suggest for people, a daily type of thing?
Yes. So I'll just say that I work out every day. And when I say workout, though, I think a lot of people think like you're going like balls to the wall every day, and I'm like, no, like.
Well, I've seen you push a tire. That's impressive. I mean,
yeah, but I do, and I mean, I do enjoy heavy lifting. I enjoy, crazy sprints here and there, whatnot. I'm also, like you said, I do jiu-jitsu, so training there is a whole nother, it's a full body workout. But, after I get off this podcast with you, I'm going to go lift. I'm going to go tonight and do like a later, because right now it's like 7:30 p.m. and usually I don't go and lift this late, but I'm making it work. And so for example, if you're in the service industry, and let's say, and here's the thing too, with restaurants, at least, for the one I was at, we didn't really open till, I don't even know what it was like 10:30, 11, I think is when we opened the doors. So you do have all that time in the morning to do something. And a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to get crazy sweaty, or I don't want to do all these things or whatever. I don't have a lot of time. It could be as easy as you wake up and you say, I have like 15 minutes, even 10, make it 10. Everybody has 10 minutes, I would say, at some point in their day. And do a light stretch. And I mean, I really do mean you should stretch. And another reason for that is, that's a whole nother story about, getting into more of like a flexibility aspect and just aligning yourself. But doing like 5 minutes of just stretching in the morning, because when you think about it, you're just horizontal for how many hours, like just laying down flat. And then you get right up and you're expecting yourself to be like perfect and bright and perky and ready to go. And it's like, no. So getting everything flowing, right? And then this is really simple. If you like to dance for 5 minutes, okay? And I'm talking to the guys too. And it doesn't mean it has to be like, the Macarena or some crazy salsa, but you're moving your freaking body, okay? And this is getting your heart rate up. You were just, like I said, you were just sleeping. You were just like chilled out, like very low heart rate. And then you get up, maybe you have a glass of water, you go to the bathroom, you go in your basement or wherever you have, little time to yourself or somewhere kind of like quiet, and you stretch, and then you go right into a little dance for 5-10 minutes. I would do this when I was living in Tampa and I was a counselor, and I lived 45 minutes away from my school, and I had to be there by 7:30. Okay. So my butt was getting up at like 5 a.m. to go dance for 5-10 minutes. And because I knew I was going to be at school all day, and then I had that drive home. And, same thing with being in the restaurant business. If I knew I was working a double, I was going to have time later on after, because I knew I was going to be crazy. Like you just said, like I just wanted to lay on the couch and go to bed. Then I would at least get that 5-10 minutes in. Now, if you like to lift, get yourself something. If it's light lifting, get a couple like 5, 8, 10-pound weights. You're doing something. Now, and being a waitress or a waiter, or, you are lifting things.
Yeah.
You are pretty active
Constantly.
for the most part. I mean, even as a bartender, I'm sure you're taking some food to your guests or whatnot, or, you're stocking things. So it's not like you are just like pouring liquid in a glass, you know? So, and as a waitress, I got crazy miles on, I used to have like a Fitbit and thing like that. And I'm like, I would be sweaty by the end of the night. So it was a workout, but there were days where it wasn't as active, right?
Sure.
So again, it's just being flexible and knowing, okay, I'm going to have a little flexibility within my week. If it's a crazy day, then that's going to count as one of my cardio days, right? And maybe you can eat a little bit more because you burned a little bit more. If it was a slow day, maybe you're like, okay, well, I'm going to do cardio outside of this, or I'm going to lift a little bit heavier. It really depends, because the service industry is so up and down. You don't know what you're going to walk into every day. you can kind of guesstimate when it's on the weekend because usually it's a little bit busier. So you're like, okay, I know I'll probably be moving a little faster. But as we know, sometimes it's a freaking Monday night and you're slammed. And it's like, where the heck did this come from? You know what I mean? So just kind of knowing that. But going back to what you said, if you can carve out like 10 minutes, 15 minutes throughout your day, I used to do things even on my break. You know, if I had a longer break, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to do some like crunches, some push-ups, I don't know, like a couple jumping jacks, whatever I need to do. And it sounds very elementary. It sounds, but that's the key. It's because it's so simple. It's not always easy for us to remember how we were growing up. You know, most of us had PE or gym class, right? And it was what, like maybe, I don't know, are they 30 minutes or an hour? I don't even know what the duration is.
What it is anymore. I think it was 45 minutes back when I was a kid, but yeah.
Right. And, you know, when we were kids, it was like, we loved that. It was enjoyable, but we were releasing energy. We were working out. I mean, even as kids, we did that, you know, whatever. We went to recess. We were running around for like 15 minutes, 30 minutes. So we need to do that. Like we need to just release something. So if you're working those shifts and you know you're not going to have a lot of time, just those little sporadic bursts of energy and stuff can just make such a difference. It elevates your mood. It makes you feel better. It gets the blood moving. You know, you don't, and if anything else, it's just going to make you feel better. Like, well, at least I did something today versus going home at night going, I didn't do anything today. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's really, like I said, again, it's really not hard. It's a simple concept. It's just that we have to simplify it sometimes in order to make ourselves get motivated to keep doing it. Right. And then when you do have the time, put in that hour at the gym or put in that hour outside walking or, you know, just climbing stairs or going up some hills. And it doesn't have to be extreme either. You know, if you go to my website, you see the way I look. I'm not doing extreme workouts every day. Like people probably think I'm like spending hours in the gym and stuff. I'm like, there's times where I go to a cornfield that's about 5 miles away and I just walk like, and that's all I'm doing. And I take a picture afterwards and I'm like, yeah, the abs are still popping because I was still just working it. Like, you know what I mean? I was still being active, but in the same breath, yes. Is my mind right? Am I healthy overall? You know, am I de-stressing every day? Am I finding time to, you know, eat healthier, make healthier choices? Yes. So it is a full body thing. And I was still doing that as a bartender, you know, or I'm sorry, as a waitress. I was still doing that same concept because the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And then your body starts to shift and change with that. So it's just finding the time, and it doesn't have to be a lot of time.
Did I'm sure your coworkers got used to you after a little while, but the other coworkers that didn't lead, let's say, as strong a healthy a lifestyle, that you know, drink Coca-Cola with reckless abandonment, or have to go out every couple hours for a cigarette or something like that, and then all of a sudden come back and see you doing sit-ups, push-ups, or something like that. Were they like, what the hell are you doing?
You know what? I think there's a key here too. Be confident in yourself and know yourself. So if you're getting off a vibe that you are insecure about the way others are viewing the way that you're living your life, they can feel it, they can sense it, and you in turn will absorb that. So at the end of the day, no one can make you feel any way. If someone could be yelling in your face saying you're stupid, you're dumb, you're silly for doing that, but the minute that you are confirming what they're saying is when it hurts, right? So if someone comes up to you and says, you know, hey, your hair is bright blue and it's so dumb, but my hair is not bright blue, then I'm just going to look at them like, I don't know what you're talking about, but okay, see you later. So when someone tells you like, or is giving them their opinion on the way that you are living your life or whatever, and you feel differently about it, then stand your ground. Like, feel confident about yourself. Know that you're doing this because it's for your own, for the best of you. Then nothing else can shatter that. You know what I mean? And I understand where that is sometimes, it takes a little time to get that confidence up, or, you know, you really just have to believe in yourself at the end of the day. But yes, I did have those who would look at me and be like, hey, look at me. I'm still skinny and I'm smaller than you and I eat whatever the heck I want. And I go, I'm like, gosh, I know. I'm kind of like, wow, that's great. But at the end of the day, if you are happy with your progress and you feel good about it, and that's all that matters. And that success will come when it's ready, with like we said, with the consistency and the dedication. So yeah. For me, it was just more so I just said whatever. I'm just confident what I did.
I actually thoroughly believe you that you just look at him and go, whatever. Just your personality and from what I've seen.
Just a smile. Yeah. I mean, I always took it like, okay. And no, don't get me wrong. I'm still a human. Like, there were times where it was kind of like, oh my gosh, like this does kind of suck. Like here I am eating a piece of celery and a salad, and this person next to me is, eating whatever the heck they want. But at the end of the day, I was doing it because I wanted to do it. And I was doing it because it was a goal of mine. And that's all that mattered. Mm. So, yeah.
But I'm sure a lot of your coworkers, like I pictured myself, if all of a sudden I walk in and see a coworker doing sit-ups, push-ups, or something like that, I would probably mostly be worried that I would accidentally trip on him because I was too much of in a hurry getting to where I was going or something like that. It wouldn't weird me out that much, but there would be a moment where I'd be going, what are you doing? But not realizing that you're just burning off energy or doing something for yourself. No, I don't want to insult anybody that does do that, but it's not a very common thing that I ever saw when I worked in restaurants.
Yes. Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you, like the things I would do if I was at work, it's usually on downtime. Like if it was slow and, it would just be like real short. I will say that like I tried to the best I could to do all my workouts outside of the workplace. You know what I mean? Because yes, that is a professional. I'm not trying to not do my job. You know what I mean? But when there is downtime, like we get it. Like if it's dead, it's dead. So it's like take the opportunity to either really relax and just if you're a meditator, just chill out, like in a booth or whatever, if you don't have to be out and about in the main room of the restaurant. But, if you do have the opportunity to get out a couple crunches, like, why not? You know what I mean? And sometimes it did motivate other people, or it was almost like a competition, like, well, shoot, let me see how many I can do. Oh my gosh, I don't know the last time I did a sit up or a push up. So you never know who you'll inspire as well. That's the cool thing about it.
Yeah, that was my next question. If other people were all of a sudden they're watching you do it and they're like, hey, let me get in on this. And
oh yeah. There's so many times I would write up like diet plans for my friends, like for free, for you know what I mean? Because it's like I was a personal trainer, but I was also like, hey, let me just see if this would work with you. You know what I mean? And some people took it seriously. Other people, it was just it didn't stick, and that's okay too. They'll find their journey and their way. But I think it did motivate some people. If anything, it made them think. Mm-hmm. It made them aware of another way. To maybe make decisions that are healthier. But I think the main part is it's always about sharing and it's not about telling. Because when you're really passionate about something and you really believe in it, sometimes you get so over like with it that you're like, oh, you should do this. You should do this. Oh my gosh, it'd be great. You're great. And it's like, sometimes people are ready for that. And sometimes people are just, they need time, so you might have a friend who is chugging energy drinks and eating, 3 bags of Doritos a day, and whatever, 2 liter of pop, and just not making great healthy choices. But it's better just to be an example, just be a living, breathing example of what you do without pushing any of your views on them. You know what I mean? Because the minute you do that, then they're going to start to think, oh, you think you're better than me? Oh, you think you got it all figured out, blah, blah. And it almost like, they're going to be rebellious in the other way. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and I've done that before, not meaning to, but just thinking, oh, I could help them. And it's like, but they have to want to do it themselves, and that's the only way it'll work.
I've, in my present job, I've gotten poked at by my coworkers just because I go to work sometimes and, it's just one of those mornings where your shoulders are a little tight, maybe your legs are a little tight. And so I'll start doing some of the stretching workout that we do at the martial arts studio. Yeah. And, they'll see me do squats. They'll see me, do whatever. And then they're just kind of standing there looking at me and I'm just, the guys that I work with, I'm slightly older than they are. And they're like, oh, old man needs to stretch before he climbs. And I said, you'll get there. Don't worry.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I do what you said about stretching early in the morning as soon as you get up. I'm actually a very big believer in that. And it didn't really become apparent until I started the martial arts discipline, and because before that because martial arts was the thing that I thought about when I was a kid. I wanted to do it when I was really young, but the family couldn't afford it. But then all of a sudden I'm sitting at home. I realize I've been home since 4 o'clock. It's now 9:30, and I've binge watched like 6 episodes of Doctor Who. And I was like, I need to do something. But going to a gym really isn't my thing. Because I've tried that, and it's a little uncomfortable for me. And but that's just my introverted mentality. That's just the way it is. But I figured martial arts would be a little bit more my speed, since we are all on the same goal, on the same track, instead of one guy that's standing in front of a mirror going, this muscle right here needs a little bit of work, so I better get on that. And I'm like, dude, you're buff as it is. You're done. Going to a gym can be was intimidating for me. Back home in Oregon, I'd go to a 24-hour fitness and purposely go at like 3 a.m. because I knew nobody was there. And that was just because I didn't want to do all that stuff in front of people. It was I don't know if I was embarrassed or whatever, but
that's so interesting because I grew up like in a gym, so to me it's just like going to my family member's house. You know what I mean? And that's any gym. But I have a lot of friends who have told me, they're like, Vic, I'm intimidated to go into a gym. And some of these friends of mine are like, they look good. You know what I mean? It has nothing to do with, lots of people think, or like they overweight or they really like small. I'm like, no, it's just their personality. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that's why I think it's so cool that you're saying like, oh, I wanted to go to martial arts, because it's like we all have the same goal. We're all learning. It's like you never stop learning in martial arts, which is really cool. Mm-hmm. It's like, even like at least in jiu-jitsu, you go from white belt up to black belt, and then even the black belts, like they have levels. It's like you're just constantly learning. So it's a very humbling experience being part of martial arts, I'm sure, as you know.
Yeah.
Because it's just and the cool thing is too, you can have someone who is a teenager next to you, and you have someone else we have a woman who's in her 70s. Mm. So, age is so cool, and it's a whole different thing, because with martial arts, I know we're kind of getting off topic a little bit here, but it's, a lot of times strength is not.
This is casual. Don't worry about what you're talking about. But.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. But it's like, it's a whole nother world of martial arts, because you can be 110 pounds and been in it for, 5 years. You can have someone else who's like 200 jack, and that 110 person could beat that 200 person. You know what I mean? Yeah. It has nothing to do with that. It's a whole nother animal. But going back to what you said, like with the gym, you find what works for you. It could be that you work out in your backyard, in your basement. You go around the block, you go to a park. You don't actually have to go to a gym. You can buy your own weights, and here's another thing. It's like, sometimes you have to actually buy weights, like get a laundry basket and put something in it and do some squats. Like, you know what I mean? The whole can of soup thing. I know it sounds funny, but you can get some heavy cans of soup and just do some bicep curls. There's so many, and during the whole COVID thing, a lot of people had to get really creative because gyms were not open. And I think it really created a lot of the creativity of, hey, I'm home. What can I do? I don't always have to go to the gym. And for people that are more introverted or don't want to be around a lot of people, it was like, oh, heaven. It was the best thing in the world. So for me, when I go to the gym, a lot of times I know it sounds funny, but it's almost motivation, because I'm saying that there's people around, so I don't want to just slack. Because sometimes when I am by myself, it's like, all right, well, if I don't go hard today, who's going to really say anything? It's just going to be me. But when I'm around other people, I'm thinking, oh, I better have good form, or I better do that last rep, because so, and that's not always the case. but you just kind of have to have fun with it and make it what it is. And if you're not a gym person, it's not the end of the world either. But
right.
like you found a home that works for you, and that was martial arts.
Yeah. And coming home, after a long day at work, if I, because even though I work in a very physical field, there are days where we don't do anything just because, weather problems or something like that. But coming home and setting a timer and punch the heavy bag for 5-10 minutes, whatever I decide to do, just punches, jabs, cross, or, hooks, whatever, just change it up as I see fit but I have to keep it going for that 10 minutes. And that tends to make me feel a little bit better. But, anyway, so back. That's good. And what you said about jujitsu is, I've only been doing jujitsu because my Sigung has decided to add that into the curriculum to get black belt in Kajikimbo. And
cool.
I wasn't wild about it, truthfully, at first because of all the people I don't know and having to wrap yourself around them or them wrap around you. Wasn't wild about it at first, but I'm getting like this. I'm 44 years old and I'm getting this 13-year-old kid that I grab him by the gi, he grabs me, and then all of a sudden my feet are in the air and I'm flat on the floor. And I'm just, what the hell happened?
That's the best part about it.
And I'm like, I outweigh this kid by 60 pounds. How the hell did he do that? But
it's that technique. It's amazing. It's great self-defense too for anybody. Yeah.
Now, stress in the bar industry. Now, that comes up. You obviously know it comes up a lot because you get the proverbial Karens or things like. I'm sorry, I keep using that term. Is that bad?
You're gonna get those people who are just chronic negative people.
Yeah. But sometimes I remember there were days where I'd get a customer that was mad at me for something, roll right off my back as if it never happened. But there were days where a customer would say something and it would irk me for maybe a week and throw off my whole system, make me want to just hide in my apartment, never talk to anybody. Now, you of course know the popular place to go and vent and cry in the restaurant is the walk-in freezer. Everybody knows this.
Yes, exactly. I'm laughing before you even said it. I was like, I know where he's going with this. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I've had bad days where a customer threatened me or something like that, and I go into the walk-in freezer and punch the lettuce box as hard as I can. I wasn't stupid enough to punch the keg, one of the beer kegs or anything like that. But
yeah, come on.
But now, stress release. What advice can you give to restaurant workers that, even mid-shift? Because, you can start your shift at 5:00. Somebody can say the smallest thing at 5:30 and your entire shift is ruined. No matter how much money you make, your mood is shot. What advice can you give to people for that sort of situation?
I think first and foremost, it's how you set the intention for the night or the day. So going back to getting ready for work, because it seems like the easiest thing for people to relate to, right? If you're getting ready for work in the morning and you don't pack a lunch, you didn't wear the right shoes you usually do, all these certain things that you're like, well, I just didn't prepare myself well. Well, the rest of the day, it may be good. It may not work out so well. You're just not prepared. So same thing going into a shift. So, and I wish I'd known more about this when I was a waitress, you know what I mean? But now learning, and especially dealing with, healing and energy work, what I do.
Well, that's why I came to you. So you can relay that energy or that information to other people. So the stuff that you've learned.
Yes. And this is perfect because this is a perfect way for people that are, especially in the service industry, because you're dealing with the public. And as we know, we never know what's going to come in through the door that day. And we don't know if things are going to work out or not work out. So what we need to do is protect ourselves, basically. So when you go in, before you go into work, whatever your routine is, it's really nice if you have like a longer commute to work, because you can kind of like do yourself a little pep talk before you get in there. But even if you have 5 minutes in the car, that's enough. And like I said, so you set your intentions. So what are your intentions for the day? Is it, if it's just to make money, that's good. I mean, that's all of our intentions. So really, that really shouldn't be a big part of it. But it's like, you can start saying to yourself, just out loud. You don't have to write these things down. Today, no matter what happens, I am just grateful to have this job. I'm just grateful to be in this, line of work, because, I'm going to bring a smile to the people that come in today. And that's really all I really worry about. And if something doesn't go right, you know what? It's 24 hours in a day, and then tomorrow's a whole new day, Mm-hmm. But and I know that was a very like generic way to start an intention, but you have to make it for you. You have to just make it flow and make it connect to you somehow. You use your own wording, the way that you would say it, so that it makes sense and it connects to you. But that's the basic way of just saying, when you start out on the right foot, then you can always go back to that, because you know who you are. You know how you came into that restaurant that day or wherever you were at. And know that people they're in their own little world, right? I mean, we've had those people come in where the minute they sat down, we're just like, oh my gosh, this person they're having a bad day and they're going to take it out on me, or nothing's right. I mean, I could tell you so many stories. I know you have them too, where it's like, we would have the same person come in. They get the same meal and it's always wrong. And it's like, they would order that steak medium rare. It always came out medium rare, but it was always medium well, or and it's like, you just have to roll with the punches, because at the end of the day, you always have to look at everything as like, is this even real? Right? Because here's the thing, you can wake up tomorrow and you can not wake up tomorrow, if you know what I'm saying. Right? So does it really matter to get that upset? But the reason why I'm saying to get into these grooves of setting intentions and waking up being grateful is because you're making a firm foundation inside your own temple, your own body, right? That I am feeling good about myself. I'm nourishing not only my body with good food, like we were talking mostly on this podcast about eating habits, but it's also mental habits, because that will creep out into any line of service and any career. And this isn't even in the service industry. This is any career field. You know what I mean? I mean, if you think about doctors and especially in the ER, they have to prepare themselves like, I don't know what the heck's going to happen today, and I'm going to have people screaming at me and who knows what's going on. But I'm going to stay so aligned with myself and stay cool and collected, because at the end of the day, I'm in control of myself. No one else is, right? So when someone is in the service industry, if someone comes in and stress hits you right in the middle of a rush hour, if you physically need to remove yourself from the situation for 2 seconds, take a breather in the back, whatever it is, like woosah, like get some water in your system, and then remind yourself of, like, can I swear on here? Am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, go knock yourself out.
I'm a badass bitch, right? Or whatever you say, right? You just like have to remind yourself that this person, there's something going on with them. And also know that unhappy people are unhappy in their lives. Hurt people will hurt other people, right? So if you're a happy person, then you're going to treat other people with happiness, right? If you're a joyful person, you're going to, no matter what, you're going to find a way to be joyful. And people have their moments of slip ups, but people that are always, unhappy, it's just because things are going wrong in their life. Does it give them that reason to take it out on you? Like, does it give them that? No. But if you start to look at adults almost as children and say, oh, this person's having a temper tantrum. Like, oh, okay. Let them have it. Don't lose your cool over someone else losing their cool with you, right? So basically, don't take ownership of their emotions. Don't attach to it. And don't take anything personal. Because the minute you do, you gave them the power over you. Because you came into work that day with the intention of having a great day. You came in saying, I'm going to change someone's life today because I'm going to give them a smile and good service. And that's all I care about, right? Mm-hmm. But the minute you let their emotions affect you, you gave them power over the way that you feel. And that's kind of like, oh, that feels kind of creepy, like they took over your body, right? So don't let them do it. And the more you practice that every day, you put up a shield and it just gets stronger and stronger. Yeah.
now preparation for work. Now my back when, because doing this podcast and working as a bartender is a lesson for me to get past my introvertedness, because otherwise I would never be able to talk to you. But back when I was bartending, like you said, there was preparation time. I had a 45-minute drive to work, and all of during the first 30 to 35 minutes, I'd have music blaring. My favorite music. It could be anything. Billy Joel, Metallica, and Pantera, the Beatles. It didn't matter. Just all my favorite stuff. But as soon as I realized, when I got a certain point from work, there were two songs in particular to try to motivate me into going into work in order to be a part of it. Was A Day in a Life. Well, Sgt. Pepper reprise into A Day in a Life on the last tracks on the Sgt. Pepper album, and Sing 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 with a Little Swing from the Benny Goodman Orchestra. And because I don't know which one was which, for, if it was a Friday night, I knew it was going to be busy, maybe I'd listen to Benny Goodman, because my musical tastes go all over the place. But but those two songs were the ones that calm me down a little bit, put me in a good mood, put a smile on my face, and take a little bit of stress off my shoulders, because a lot of times there was a lot of stress on my shoulders. I'd be like this as soon as I walked in the door. And this is an audio podcast, I just remembered, so nobody knows what I just did. Yeah, I know, but what I notice in your TikTok videos, you have headphones on a lot. Do you have stuff that you specifically listen to?
I am such an 80s baby. I can't even, I will rock my hair. I know you guys can't see my hair, but if you go on my page or my website, my TikTok, I'm known for my hair because it's big and curly and so 80s music, you can't go wrong. It is fun. It's dancey. It's mostly at every wedding, reception, basically, right? So that's stuff that gets the party like moving and grooving. So it's my go-to is always 80s. But do I listen to rock, rap, pop, R&B, jazz? Yes, I am a product of all of that. I was in band my entire life. I played the trumpet, so I love like classical too. But just like you said, like I would have like pump up playlists too when I was a waitress, and I was younger, so it's usually like whatever's on the radio, but that's really important too, because that raised your spirits as well. So I like that. That's a good point.
Yeah, I laugh from time to time because I don't do it often because I don't think it's incredibly safe. When I'm writing to my martial arts class, I'll have earbuds in my ears while I'm riding my motorcycle. And I don't think it's incredibly safe, but I do it just because I want the music, because the music makes me feel good and stuff like that. But I have to laugh once in a while because these people pull up next to me and I'm sitting on a Harley and I've got this Ghost Rider face mask on, and they don't realize that I'm listening to Uptown Girl.
Uptown Girl! Yes! I love it.
But
it's so cool.
They're probably thinking I'm listening to George Thorogood and the Destroyers or Disturbed or something like that. No, I'm listening to Billy Joel.
Yes. I love that. Oh yeah, and I'm the same. I'm like the opposite of you at times, because yes, I listen to that, but there's times where I'm like 9 Inch Nails, like Linkin Park, and I'm just going crazy. And I'm smiling like this, but I'm like, y'all don't know what this is crazy. Or like Mortal Kombat, like their soundtrack, or whatever. Like I just crazy stuff. I just love listening to it because it's whatever just gets you going, really.
Yeah. It just depends on the day and how I'm feeling when it comes to music. I mean, Billy Joel's been my idol since I was a kid, and and so were the Beatles. But when I want to
I love the Beatles.
Oh yeah, But the day where I did my first competition in Kajikimbo and went and did a tournament, I was sitting down listening to like Metallica's Master of Puppets, and I'm sitting there, I'm quiet, my face is stone. But, I'm listening to the entire album while waiting for my turn to go up into the ring. And, that's that's what got the muscles flexing and got the blood pumping. Because I'm pretty sure listening to Piano Man wouldn't have done that. But
I know. It depends on like, do you want to be chill and like peaceful and zen, or do you really want to get riled up? It just depends on.
I mean, I don't know if that goes against what Bruce Lee said, be like water, but
yeah, flow, be like water. I know. Well, that was you're like a ocean wave after a hurricane. Like your water still, it's just different flow.
But have you done many tournaments?
I've done two as a white belt. I'm now a blue belt, and well, now that it was COVID time, I know we keep using excuses, COVID, but it was like so many things were shut down, and so I wasn't training as much because our gyms were shut down. But I do plan on competing again. I was nursing a couple injuries at the time. I had some shoulder issues going on. And I don't even like to claim this, but I found out that I have like a very mild arthritis, like rheumatoid arthritis. So, but I don't like to claim it because I know I can get rid of it. So, through what I do. But anyways, it was a little bit of a struggle. So I at the time I was like, is it really worth, again, priorities, right? So is it really worth going into a competition where people are going to possibly rip off your arm? You know what I mean? So I decided to, take the year to kind of recover, but I'm hoping that next year I can get back into competition and cause I love it.
Yeah. I've only done one competition with Kajakimbo. I think I can count, I've counted maybe like 5 classes I've done with jiu-jitsu. So I don't feel like I'm anywhere near ready. And I'm still a white belt, still beginner, but, or actually, sorry to get philosophical here, but sometimes I've heard some Sifus recently saying that you're a beginner up until you reach black belt, and then that's when you start learning. And I'm like, okay, so what's all this stuff before that?
I know. Well, it's funny with jiu-jitsu and like the belts. I know you probably know, but for those who are listening, it just goes white, blue, purple, brown, black. That's how it goes up in the belts. But you'll find so many memes and funny things out there on like Instagram where it shows like, well, white belt, it's like you're crazy and just like all over the place. And blue belt, you're less crazy. You're starting to settle down. Basically, purple belt, it's like a couple moves. Brown belt, and it kind of like gives you the stages. And I'm like, at the end of the day, we're all students still, you know what I mean? Like, and that's what I was saying before. It's like, it's such a very humbling, sport or, whatever it is for you. You're always evolving. You're always learning no matter what. And there's a counter to like basically everything, So like, even though you're learning the basics, which is what you should know, there's going to be a counter to that. And then there's a counter to that, you know what I mean? So it's like, that's why the flow is so important with all of it.
Yeah. I think I even took a screenshot of one of the ones that you put out there where it was like beginner, God mode, ask me instead of the teacher, or something.
Oh, there's tons of them. They're so good. I'm like, oh, this is so relatable. It's good.
Well, we're coming up on the end of the podcast. Thank you so much for taking the time out to be on the show, and happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah, I saw that on your Instagram feed that it was your birthday this week, and so I wanted to make sure to say that. And
thank you.
Why don't you give people information on how to contact you and the services you offer and all that stuff?
Oh, I'd love to. So you can find me I'm really active on Instagram and TikTok. The name is Slick Vic BA. The BA stands for badass. I know that's really lame. I know. Again, made this up when I was younger, but it's an easy way to find me, Slick Vic BA. But if you like to do more of like a one-on-one session with me or learn about, see more about what I do as a professional, then you can go to my website. So my website is www.slickvic.com, and there it'll explain what I do, explains different services I have, and I would like to also say that I started another company with 3 other women, and it's called TVG Research Group. And I'm wearing the shirt. I know people can't see it, but we're putting on events, and these events are like wellness events. We'll be teaching people skills of, all sorts of things dealing with energy blockages or meditation, de-stressing. It'll be like 1-day retreats and multiple day retreats. We're actually going to have our first one September 11th in Ohio. So we're getting ready for that. And there's more information on that. I have it linked on my link tree on Instagram. If you go down, you'll find it. But yeah, so if you want more information, you want to reach out, maybe you just want to message me a little bit or pick my brain about what I do, please feel free to reach out on Instagram or TikTok.
And that's it, everybody. It is last call for alcohol. Come on up to the bar and get your last drink before you go home. Because I'm not going out there. There's too many of you. Anyway, so thank you so much, Vicki, for being on Hey Bartender podcast. It was an honor. It was a pleasure. And you brought a whole bunch of really cool and interesting things to think about when it comes to working in the service industry and still trying to remain healthy. Truth being told to everybody listening to Hey Bartender podcast, this is the first time that I've ever thought about even bringing anybody to talk about health issues and stuff like that and being a healthier bartender or a server, because, we go through a lot of crap and, our bodies get beat up and we eat what we can when we want or when we can. And it's just hard on our bodies. So, bringing Vicki onto the show really opened up my mind. Hopefully it opened up yours in order to think about other things that we can do in order to protect ourselves, protect our livelihood, and, protect our minds first and foremost, because we go through a lot of crap when it comes to being a bartender or server. So hope you enjoyed the show. Remember, if you want to contact me, just email me, dude@heybartenderpodcast.com, or you can follow me on any of the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. It's @HeyBartenderPodcast. Or you can jump on the website, www.heybartenderpodcast.com. There you can listen to old episodes. You can also check out some of the Hey Bartender podcast swag. I sell t-shirts. I sell a few other things on there. So just remember, if you buy a t-shirt, you help support a podcast. That would be totally awesome for me. Also, one big thing, if you leave a review and a rating on Apple Podcasts for the next few months, I will be choosing a review at random on Apple Podcasts. And whoever writes a review on Apple Podcasts, one person at random will receive a free Hey Bartender Podcast t-shirt. So make sure you go on to Apple Podcasts, write a review. 5-star review would be totally awesome for me, but that's, it's all you. And, maybe you'll be the lucky winner of a Hey Bartender Podcast t-shirt. And just remember, people, if you have a cool story that you want to tell, or you just have something to say, or you want your band to be featured on an episode of Hey Bartender Podcast, all you have to do is either message me on any of the social medias or email me, dude@heybartenderpodcast.com. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a blast. Thank you so much for listening. And as usual, I want to wish you all lots of love, lots of sex, lots of happiness, and don't take any shit from anyone. Good night.
What do you mean it's last call? I just got here!